Hello, this is Bill Steffen. Thanks for coming aboard today. Boy, I tell you, summer doesn't want to let go, does it? Temperature here was 84 degrees on Sunday in Grand Rapids, and that's warmer than an average day in July. In July, our average high temperature is about 83. So, and that warm air is going to stick around here. This pattern not changing at all. Everything is kind of in a traffic jam on the weather map, and so that means what you got is what you're going to continue to get. So this warm, dry condition certainly will continue. One thing to notice is the colors are starting to change despite despite the warm weather, and that's because of the dry conditions we've had out here. I think as the trees show a little bit of stress, you're going to see those leaves change color and start to fall off despite the warm air that we've got here. A quick hello to our affiliate viewers that come to us from the Ottawa News Network. Thanks for being here with us. We got lots going on. I'm going to tell you about a place that got 17-foot waves. We'll share that with you in just a little bit. High temperatures from Sunday, a lot of mid-80s out there. And look at the South Haven Pier. That's a really warm day for out there by the pier. And that's because they had an east wind. And what was interesting is the wind turned to the west right after it hit 83, and the temperature instantly fell to 74. So wind direction important. Even a light wind, the wind was only east at about 3 miles an hour, and then it turned to west at about 3 miles an hour, and that was enough to bring that cooler air in. Holland Beach reached 80, Muskegon Pier at 79. If you wanted to cool off, Mackinac Island was the place to be. They had an east-southeast wind coming right down the full length of Lake Huron, and their temperature failed to reach 70, though it was a beautiful day up there, lots of sunshine. We'll take a look at what we have ahead here for us now. First of all, our sunrise and sunset time for today, 7:22 and 7:51. You've probably noticed the sun coming up a little bit later in the morning and setting a little bit earlier in the evening. We're down to 12 hours and 29 minutes of daylight. And you've seen the picture right there. That's what the sunset looked like over in Muskegon. Just a few high clouds on the horizon there, and that's about it. Record high for today, 97. So we're nowhere near record high temperatures. It can get hotter at this time of year, and it can certainly cool off as well. Record low is 36, set back in 1953. Average high and low drops another one, by the way, to 74 and 53. All right, taking a look at the lake forecast here, and that's a picture from the Muskegon Channel. And look at all the traffic there. Over on the right side, you got the dredgers still working, but lots of boats going by. And the sailboats needed the motors because there wasn't a whole lot of wind out there. If you look toward the bottom of what I wrote there, the average wind speed the last 7 days has been just 4 miles an hour. So those wind turbines that are supposed to be generating all that electricity for us, not helping us a whole lot when the winds are this light. But in the meantime, we got the sun, and of course that kicks in the solar. I have solar panels on the south side of my house. Don't need them now because they just generate heat for us, and we don't need the heat this time with the temperatures in the 80s. Water temperatures, no more water temperatures from the state parks, but we do have buoy temperatures here, and they're all about the same, 67 or 68. I didn't put Ludington on there, but they were also at 68 degrees. Reed's Lake was interesting. Reed's Lake's warmest temperature was 75 at 4:50 in the afternoon. So if you're planning on swimming and you want some warm weather, plan in that 3 to 5 o'clock period is probably the best time to be out there doing that. All right, we're going to take a little time out and check in with one of our sponsors, Ace Hardware Handyman.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Well, this is a very interesting map. But look up in the Dakotas and you see a red line right there. Every one of those red dots in that line represents a tornado sighting. And what was interesting is there were a zillion storm chasers up in North Dakota. So there were a zillion people reporting the same tornado. So I'm assuming that those 22 tornadoes came from the same storm, which developed in South Dakota and went due north. There were 23 total tornado reports, including one down in Kansas. In terms of significant damage, there wasn't a whole lot. Of course, in North Dakota, that's a little bit harder for a tornado to hit something that's really expensive. But you can see the tornadoes did miss Bismarck, and there were 34 severe wind reports, 15 severe hail reports. So I don't think there was anything bigger than golf ball size. And those 23 tornadoes, there was a barn destroyed, there was an SUV and trailer that was overturned. One of the interesting things about tornadoes in the Dakotas and the high plains is that you can see them coming. Generally, there's not a lot of rain around them. And you can look in the distance and sometimes see tornadoes that are, 15 miles away. So they got a little bit more time to move out of the way. But that was interesting to see all those tornadoes coming from the one storm there. In terms of today, I don't think there'll be much in the way of severe weather. The light green areas could see a thunder shower, and you can see again down in South Florida where they've had over 10 inches of rain so far this month of September. Really interesting. There's a cold front that's made it down there, and not much of a front, but it's dropped the dew points into the 60s all the way down to Orlando. So that's some fairly relatively dry air for them. You can see thunder showers out to the west of us in the Plain States, but nothing in lower Michigan. We move ahead to Tuesday, and we've got a marginal risk in mainly Nebraska and some other states there as well, just small portions of the other states. But again, the possibility for some wind damage and maybe an isolated tornado in that area. Once again, lower Michigan stays dry. We will not be seeing any rain here or any storms. All right, taking a look at the 66-hour rainfall map, there's a low-pressure system off the coast of the Carolinas and Virginia that's going to be dumping a lot of rain on them. I could see some of the higher amounts there along the coast around Norfolk, Virginia, picking up perhaps 4 inches of rain over the next several days. Not the best weather for anybody that's on vacation. South Florida continues to see showers and thunder showers, but no severe weather. And you can see the thunderstorms concentrating out there in Nebraska, producing that chance of severe weather and plus some fairly significant rainfall amounts there as well. If you look out toward Los Angeles and San Diego, there are a couple of showers that may develop in the mountains off to the east of the cities there. Keep an eye on that. That would be kind of interesting. All right, on we go for tropical update here, and this is a little bit of a change from yesterday. We've upped now the chance of a tropical storm and hurricane to around 70%. Yeah, it's orange on the map here, but that will change to red, and this will become a significant hurricane. And just like the last couple of hurricanes, Aaron, especially here, and Fernand, though this one is going to kind of aim toward North Carolina, and then it's going to veer off toward the right and probably miss hitting all land areas. It may brush with some rain and some gusty winds the Virgin Islands perhaps, and maybe Bermuda. But boy, I tell you, this has really been a year for low hurricane numbers in the Atlantic, and what hurricanes have formed have generally missed not only the United States, but pretty much all land areas, which is good. All right, out to the eastern Pacific Ocean out west, and you'll find that we have Mario. And Mario is a tropical storm, and it is moving off to the northwest. It will eventually weaken as it finds some cooler water ahead of it, and we expect the next system to develop in that same area. That one will have a girl's name, Narda, Narda. There's a little area of disturbance south of Hawaii, but that won't amount to much of anything, so you can just ignore that yellow X there. And then out to the west, in the western Pacific Ocean, one little depression that they're watching, and other than that, there's nothing going on. This is the peak of the hurricane season, and the whole Pacific Ocean does not have a hurricane. In fact, outside of Tropical Storm Mario there's really nothing much going on anywhere across the entire world. Tornado numbers are down. There was some significant flooding in China. I saw some video of that, but really not much going on here weather-wise. I want to show you this. The next slide shows waves from Kiko, and this is from a buoy, which is north of the big island of Hawaii. And you can see the wave started building on September 9, and then you can see how they ramped up. And this is not just one wave. It's not just the highest wave. It's an average wave. So some waves were higher than this. but it peaks there at 17.4 feet, and that's a pretty healthy wave. That's like what would it be, like 3 stories or 2.5 stories, something like that. And you can see how quickly it calms back down again. But the general trend is there. On an average day, you'd find waves there about 5 feet or so. But like I said, Kiko going by, and it was only a tropical storm when it passed by, but it really churned up some big waves. All right, on we go. Coming up, our dry weather pattern continues. Friday is our next chance of rain, and as I mentioned before, it's only a chance. It's not a sure thing. We'll stay mostly sunny, keep the sunblock handy, and high temperatures in the 80s. Average high temperatures are low to mid 70s now, so this is significantly warmer than normal. Month of September, the first 10 days were cooler than average, and now we're going through a period where at least 10 and probably more days in a row are going to be warmer than average. Taking a look at the weather today, we're bouncing up into the mid 80s after low temperatures in the upper 50s. By the way, it's not very humid out here. Normally 85 with a dew point of 70 would really feel warm, but with dew points hanging in the low to mid 50s here, it's different. There still could be some isolated fog at night, especially east of US 131 and north of Interstate 96. Slightly moister air has worked its way into Montcalm, Isabella counties from the northeast from Saginaw Bay. So there may be an isolated patch of fog. It will not last long. The sun will come up and take care of that pretty quickly. Humidity down to 40% in the afternoon. Winds start out east and very light. They'll become variable. A lake breeze will likely kick in the afternoon, but not strong. Waves should be 6 inches to a foot again, and winds only about 5 miles an hour. Taking a look at some other high temperatures across the state of Michigan today. Again, we're looking for about mid 80s. The airport in Holland at 85. But if you're right by the water, it will likely be in the upper 70s in the afternoon in South Haven, Benton Harbor. And off to the north, you can see 82 in Traverse City. Then a lake breeze kicks in there down the bay, and the temperature will probably fall to about 75. And up in the UP, lots of 70s showing up, so a very fine day up there as well with a good amount of sunshine. A few clouds come into the Ironwood area, but other than that, it really should be a typical summer day here in September. And then we move on to Tuesday, and during the day on Tuesday, we'll once again see temperatures similar. Again, mid to upper 70s at the lake and low to mid 80s in inland areas. Just another fine day with light winds. Things don't change much. The 5-day forecast looks like this: sunny, 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 mostly sunny. We'll go for Thursday. I did put a cloud there. And then for Friday, about a 30% chance of a shower. We need it. I hope we get a little bit of rain here. I hope it doesn't ruin your activities, but the clouds and an occasional shower could cool the temperatures down just a touch here during the day on Friday. But we stay above average for a long time. Look at the 8 to 14 day outlook here. We're going to be seeing above average temperatures here all the way through September 28th, it looks like. The large high pressure system here blocking the cooler air from coming down from Alaska, and a couple places up in Alaska had some snow on the ground early this morning, so it is cooling off a little bit there. Daylight crashes at a pretty intense rate right around the equinox up in Alaska. Some places up in northern Alaska losing 7-8 minutes worth of daylight per day, and so that moves pretty drastically there. Okay, and then the rainfall, again, we're in that below average area. As I've said before, drought begets drought. It's very difficult to break through a drought. Eventually we will. Moisture from Mario coming up into Arizona and Utah will cause some showers and storms there. There'll be showers along the Pacific Northwest, especially the coastline area, and from Nebraska down toward Oklahoma, the plains probably seeing a few more thunderstorms, and the same thing for the Florida Peninsula. Another round of showers and storms. But I do not see, looking at that map, signs of any hurricanes hitting the United States. So hopefully we'll be as lucky in October as we are turning out to be here in September when it comes to that. All right, Alex and Michelle have sent us some slides here. I have not seen these, so let's see what we have. On September 15, 1857, this U.S. president was born. He was known for being the only U.S. president to also be Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. and allegedly, this is allegedly now, okay, because I know this story, getting stuck in the White House bathtub. And that was because he weighed close to 300 pounds. This was President Taft from Ohio, I believe he was. And there he is. And he was one big dude. I wouldn't want to mess with him. But he left the presidency and then became the Chief Justice, I believe, of the Supreme Court. So quite a couple of offices to hold here. And he's got that mustache going. I always like those mustaches there. And okay, let's see what's next. Oh, Bill. Okay. Yep, the mustache guy. Okay, me and President Taft going hand in hand here. All right. Thank you so much for putting that together there. On September 15, 1954, during the filming of The 7-Year Itch, an iconic photo was taken of this actress. She was most known for being the mistress of John F. Kennedy, and I would say one of John F. Kennedy's mistresses. This was Marilyn Monroe. I know the answer to this one too, and that was when she was over the air vent, and I pushed her skirt up there. But that was she was married to what? Joe DiMaggio for a while. Interesting. All right, on we go. Let's see what's next. September 15, 1878. Michigan's first phone book. Wow. And that is a rotary phone. And we had rotary phones when I was growing up. And I remember the rotary phone sitting on the counter there. And it was a party line. And you had to wait for somebody else to get off the line before you could use it. Oh, interesting. By the way, I think I still have I don't think they do phone books anymore. Does anybody do a phone book? I don't know. But the last phone book I got, I think I still have in my closet there somewhere. Remembering phone books, the first one in Michigan was published for the Detroit area in 1878. It was called A List of Subscribers, not a phone book. Image from 1922. Wow. We had a phone, though, that looked pretty similar to that. I was born in 51, so I remember talking to Grandma and Grandpa on the phone, on the rotary phone, probably when I was 3-4 years old. That would be in the mid-50s. So it's interesting. And it looks like we got a presidential seal on that phone. I can tell you, I don't have time to tell you this right now, but I can tell you a really interesting story about Vern Ehlers and Tom Foley, who was the Democrat Speaker of the House at the time. Because Vern Ehlers walked into his office and saw that Foley had a rotary phone, which was still operable. And Vern Ehlers helped fix him up with the latest push-button phone at the time. So Vern Ehlers was arguably the smartest man in Congress. He had a PhD in physics, and pretty interesting. All right, let's go on. That was interesting to know. September 15th, 1886, the first classes were held at this Michigan University. It was originally called Michigan Mining School. The mascot is Blizzard T. Husky. Well, that kind of gives it away a little bit. I'm assuming we're talking about Michigan Tech, which is up in the Houghton area, and yes, indeed it is. That is an engineering school, but was a mining school back then, I guess. Still a great school for tech, and some of the inventions that some of the Michigan Tech grads have done, we almost ought to talk about that sometimes. Really interesting. But yeah, that is an area that gets a ton of snow in the wintertime. And occasionally they let me use some of the pictures from their webcams that they have up there. So we'll salute to Blizzard T. Husky, or whatever. Was it T. Husky or J. Husky? I don't know. Blizzard Husky. Okay. Blizzard T. Husky. Okay. Like Blizzard the Husky. Okay. From John Meppelink, we've got a beautiful, is that a Rose of Sharon? It must be. And that's really interesting because it's got multicolors on it. We have a Rose of Sharon that has a couple of different colors on it, but they're segregated with all the colors on one side and then all the different colors on the other side, which is interesting. It looks like he's got some bird feeders out there as well. Beautiful plant right there. Excellent. Thanks, John, for that. Plenty good to see there. And from John Doherty, a beautiful sunset. That's looking out over perhaps Crystal Lake with the sun getting ever so slowly more to the left here with each day here during the fall. And the lake, of course, pretty calm with the light winds that we have there. That's a beautiful lake. It really is. And it's not connected to Lake Michigan. per se. It's inland by a little distance, and there's a road that goes all the way around the lake. But beautiful lake up there in Benson County. And do we have one from John Scully? I'm guessing yes. Yes, we do. Look at that. Another monarch butterfly, I think. It's really interesting. We've had a lot of people that have let us know that we've had a lot of monarchs, especially along the lakeshore, and they're making their migratory trip. Slow but sure, and they're going to go slow in this weather, perhaps, but they're moving from north to south, heading down to valleys in Mexico, where they spend the winter and then come back. And I think it's just fascinating that the monarchs know where to go. They know where to go to these valleys in Mexico where they can meet and just tell about all the wonderful things that happened where they were. And then they disperse. They don't go to the same place, but some of the monarchs come to Michigan. Some know to go to South Dakota. Some know to go way up into Canada. Really interesting. They're amazing creatures. And some beautiful flowers there. Monarchs are attracted, by the way, to purple and red, the butterfly bushes. I have one of those out in the back there, kind of a lavender color. And we close again with a picture of snow to cool you off in the midst of this warm summer-like weather pattern. I hope you have yourself a wonderful day, and thanks so much for coming aboard.